Well, Mr. Barker, there's Mansfield Town fans this morning, or this afternoon, wanting to know if Mansfield Town will be playing at Field Mill in the long term, potentially a new ground in the offing.
Yeah, there's obviously potential. What we want to do is obviously stop here for another 100 years at Field Mill. That's our aim, and that's hence the reason we're doing court proceedings with Mr. Haslam. But we also, as I said from the start, we need a contingency plan and a backup just in case, say, the worst scenario happens, which hopefully it doesn't. And on the results on Thursday, it does seem to be going in our favour at the moment.
You've been quoted in a local paper saying that you've opened discussions with the local council about a number of potential sites around the town. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, this was actually the negotiations and the talks about the land was actually when me and John first came on board, and we had a meeting with Tony and talked through some potential sites. Obviously, those potential sites have been identified, and what we're looking at is certain benchmarks on the cost of a new stadium if it should come to that. I
suggested that any potential site would be located near the Mar route. That was my understanding, that the previous owners were looking at a site up there for potentially a new ground.
Yeah, there's as I said, there's quite a few venues what we are looking at, so I don't want to pinpoint it just down to one.
Not to go too far ahead of ourselves, but I would imagine that if a new stadium was needed, then the club would have to fund it. Would I be on the right lines?
Well, there's various ways we can fund it, but the biggest thing would be obviously from the club, but obviously there's sponsorships we can look at as well. But the main funding, yes, would be from the club.
Is Field Mill a ground fit for the 21st century?
I believe it is, yeah, because you've only got to look at the grounds and say the leagues, what we're in the leagues higher. I think we've got a very good ground here. There may be a bit of development in the Bishop Street side of things, but if we did, well, should I say, when we do get the ground back, then there will be some development on that.
In regard to the Bishop Street side of the stadium, what can you tell us about that then?
Well, as I say, we have seen some plans, but obviously they're only on the drawing boards side of it. But when you look at the Bishop Street stand at the moment, I think there's a lot of potential what we could do to make it more appealing to the eyes. As you know, we had the cameras here against the Newport game, and ideally it would have been nice for the television cameras and the spectators to be actually looking at something a bit better than the old stand what we've got. As
you know, when Field Mill is packed to the rafters, it does generate a fantastic atmosphere, but if you could redevelop the Bishop Street stand, would that just enhance that potential atmosphere?
Well, yeah, obviously, because at the moment we would be only talking an atmosphere from three sides, and any football stadium wants it from the four sides. So yeah, it would be something like that.
All part of Plan B is what you've referred to these discussions as. I mean, you don't want to go into Plan B, do you? But regarding the sale of the ground potentially to you, or if a court decides that this ground is the club's, I mean, just give us an idea as to, has there been any other interaction, negotiation with Keith Haslam since the court's hearing on it earlier this month?
No, there's been no interaction, but there was a discussion with John and Keith at court, and what they said there'd be 14 days kind of cooling off period, where hopefully then Keith will have a look and review the certain situation of the offer what John made.
Is Mr Radford still looking to purchase the ground from Mr Haslam, and would he be willing to now purchase the ground off him for the right price?
Yeah, £1.50 is not bad, is it? But no, I mean, obviously on a serious note, I mean, yeah, the ideal situation would be if the price was right, and obviously not extortionate as it was previously when we met, then we could look at some negotiations. But at the end of the day, we've as been proven when we was locked out by Keith, will still be proceeding with the courts.
And as far as you're concerned, all negotiation channels are open then?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be stupid not to when all said and done, because as we all know, courts can take quite a long time to go through. So ideally, if Keith came tomorrow and said you can have this for a certain price and it was good, then I'd be no happier than walking in the following day and telling everybody from Mansfield that it is now back to owned by Mansfield Town.
Would you then drop your case against Mr Haslam?
I think that's one of the things would be on the negotiations.
We were talking outside the courthouse earlier this month, Mr Barker, about the negotiations of a 10-year lease. Do you have a 10-year lease agreement with another club on potentially another ground?
Yes, we're very close to that, but obviously we've got to speak to the conference as well first. It's pointless getting a 10-year lease with the ground and then the conference do not allow us.
And just finally, Mr. Barker, in regard to the support you've received from Mansfield Town fans, you've received a lot of support in your legal battle with Mr. Haslam. Financial assistance as well is still flooding into the club.
Yeah, it's tremendous. I mean, the amount of support we've been getting from the supporters, not just on the legal side of things as well, it's tremendous. I mean, it's one of the things that me and John, it's humbled me and John. You've got people, obviously, we're doing full-time jobs and then going and doing, the work after the normal 9 till 5 and putting all the efforts in and giving us that support, and it has been a big help.
It must be a costly legal battle.
It certainly is, yeah. If I come back in another life, I think a lawyer is one of the things I'll be going for.
You're in the wrong profession?
Yeah, looking at the bills, yes, definitely.
Thank you, Mr. Barker.
Thank you.